Jupiter is going through the second degree of Aries, a comedian entertaining a group. Adjustment to feedback. Objectivity arises when we come to see that we exist within an extended sphere of reality. And when we can laugh at how insignificant we actually are within that inestimable cosmic world, we see how silly is our prideful self-love, and within the context of the greater picture, how irrelevant are our personal thoughts and feelings. It is a great leap forward on the path to realization when we release self-importance. So this is about becoming able to see ourselves objectively from another's viewpoint and learning to adjust. And the understanding that life is the mirror that shows us who and what we are. Objectivity. The idea that we have of everything is so very subjective and therefore distorted, and therefore inclined not to see the imperfections of our being. For all that we lack true self-worth, nevertheless, most of us will incline towards not seeing our true faults. We'll make up faults that we don't actually have, but to see the true imperfections of our being, very difficult indeed, subjectively, very difficult. And it is a designation of mastery and spiritual realization that you can see it from the other point of view. That's what objectivity is, really. It's seeing yourself in every moment as being the effect upon something. You're causing an effect upon the world around you. And to see that as you act, the effect of your words, the effect of your presence even, and notice what happens because of you, to see that from the other point of view. That's the objectivity that reflects a high degree of spiritual realization. So in Aries 1, we emerged from not anything, not being, into beingness. And that's a huge task. Without that, then nothing. So emergence itself has to be met by something in order to ground. And that's what we learned in Aries 1. Now in Aries 2, what we see is that functionality of being met involves another. And that other just doesn't have our degree of subjectivity about us. They have that about them. They have objectivity about us. And so what they see when they see us is not the glossed up version that we see of ourselves, or the dire failure that we think ourselves to be. Both of those lead to egotism, both self-glorification and self-abnegation. Both of those lead to egotism. It's not only self-importance that indicates an egotist, it's also self-deprecation. I'm worthless, that's not healthy or right. And the objectivity coming from meeting another person is why it's a hugely beneficial interaction to have another commenting upon who we are and how we are. Nevertheless, that's the beginning of all the problems that we've got on a personal level, because we don't enjoy being discovered in our errors. What Rudhyar says is very similar. He's saying this: a comedian reveals human nature, the capacity to look objectively at oneself and at others. While the first phase of the process of emergence is essentially in terms of subjective impulse and the desire to act, the second phase represents the attempt to evolve an objective awareness of existence. Through a sense of contrast, consciousness is gradually being built. This is what is called reflective consciousness, the ability to see oneself reflected as in a mirror. and eventually to laugh at the inadequacy of the form one sees. Thus, humour, the triumph of objective consciousness over subjective feeling or moods, or involvement in self. A comedian revealing human nature. I think of Billy Connolly when I think of this one. And he outrageously laughs at everything and everyone and all the practices of our human existence. He just finds it all so funny. And that's so healthy for us not to take ourselves too seriously. It's a balance. If you don't take yourself at all seriously, then you don't achieve anything. You don't even achieve self-respect. So we do have to find a balance. And this is what number 2 is in numerology, is that which balances number 1. So number 1 is, I exist. And that's the imperative. I therefore have sufficient importance to claim a right to be. And that self-importance is important. It's crucial to the beginning of something. I am self-important. I want to survive. That I-ness is not wrong. It's first. That's what Aries likes to do. Likes to be first. But here we go into the second position, not down the line, not third or fourth or fifth. The second position is like, yeah, but really, I know you like to feel self-important, but so do I, so does he, so does she. We all like to feel self-important, so, get over yourself. That's lesson number 2. Number 1, claim the right to exist. Number 2, but only up to the level where it doesn't impact upon someone else overly much, not too strongly. You don't disdain someone else because they're different from you. What you do by noticing other people being different is you get a greater objectivity about the way in which you are different. That's very important. Marc Edmund Jones, a comedian entertaining a group. This is a symbol of the mirror which life holds up to itself recurrently, and so facilitates an everyday understanding of itself. I'll say that again, it's a bit complex. Comedian entertaining a group. This is a symbol of the mirror which life holds up to itself recurrently, again and again and again and again and again. So facilitating an everyday understanding of itself. Life reflects itself to understand itself. I am an aspect of life. I want to see a reflection of myself, or I can't understand myself. The identity of each individual is projected back into the wholly naive potentials of his experience, thereby providing a fresh and transcendent self-perspective. It's not only that we get objective feedback, that because that feedback is different from our subjective take on things, it expands our sense of what is. Somebody's had a different set of experiences to create their humorous approach to understanding who we are, and those experiences that they've had differ from ours, and that expands our sense of life itself. Here is man's heightened individuality, as he discovers he may play whatever role he finds useful in each momentary contact with others, together with the continual self-assurance he gains in self-rehearsal. Just because we are met, we are seen. Even though there may be disagreement or ridicule, nevertheless, it's seen. We are real. We exist. We're not invisible. We're not nothing. And that's an important thing. A number of my clients have a real problem because their parents didn't see them. They just didn't notice. And that's a big deal. The key word is release. When positive, the degree is the power of personality through a full and completely uninhibited self-expression. Jupiter, going through the second degree of Aries, is going to bring up this question of getting feedback. how do we cope with that? Well, Jupiter is teaching us that it's a good thing to cope with that by expanding your self-awareness. Learn through that feedback. Enjoy it. Grow through it. Make the best of it. Even though it's ridiculing you in some respect, it might not be loving, compassionate, kind, and caring for you. And yet that's an important part of the teaching. Not everybody in the world is going to be that way with you. You have to find a way to be in the world where you're met by an objective approach which is in keeping with your own needs and preferences and desires. So Jupiter's saying, yeah, well, okay, you can do that. How do you present yourself to the world? Is it working? Are you being objectively met? Is somebody looking at you and giving you honest feedback? If not, well then, why not? Why are you not involved enough in someone's life that they're willing to give you feedback? Most of us have got employers and partners and friends and so on, all of whom will say, that's how you are, that's who you are, and that's what you're doing. They might say it gently, they might say it sternly. That's secondary here. The fact that they say it is important. And Jupiter's saying that's a gift. Take on all feedback, whatever energy is behind it. Just take it on and integrate it within who you are and present yourself to the world however you choose to from then on, knowing that you're going to get more feedback.